Alon, the reason we're not seeing the death and destruction within Israel, like we're seeing in Gaza or we saw with Lebanon, is because of that Iron Dome. It's not like they're not people out there, groups out there that are desperately trying to kill a bunch of Israelis. They're just better protected because they have better technology. Also, that's been aided by the U.S. to keep the country safe. What's your current assessment of things, of what happens next? What are you worried about?
I'm worried about that this will spiral out of control.
Do you think that Netanyahu wants it to?
Yes, but that I was going to leave that as the last point. The Iran doesn't want that. The U.S. certainly doesn't want to be dragged and sucked into it. Everyone else doesn't matter. This sort of caters to Mr. Netanyahu's narrative that this was not about a Hamas savage terror attack on October 7th, 2023, but this is part of a bigger civilizational war. This is a 360-degree encirclement against Israel, and the epicenter of all of this is Iran. You may agree, you may disagree. But here's the thing. As for the Iron Dome, you're absolutely right, Katie. And by the way, Israelis, not Mr. Netanyahu, because he can't bring himself to do that, but Israelis should thank President Obama for funding, extra funding, the Iron Dome when Israel needed it badly. Second, there is, and you mentioned it, and I think you're absolutely right, the U.S.'s involvement, but also one of the MSNBC's correspondents, or NBC's correspondents, that mentioned that the Jordanians were involved. And I wouldn't be surprised to find in the next few days that other countries were involved. Maybe Britain, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe the Emirates, maybe Qatar. We don't know.
Is that because the region doesn't want there to be instability? The region wants normalization
Absolutely.
With Israel. The region wants things to cool down. Absolutely.
Look, Qatar, for example, has a very tenuous relationship with Iran, but it's the closest to Iran, so they need to cohabitate somehow.
They share a pretty big border.
The Chinese, take the Chinese. We haven't spoken about China. The Chinese, 60% of China's exports to Europe go through the Suez Canal via the Red Sea. When the Houthis start blocking maritime traffic in the Red Sea, that screws up China's exports to Europe. It raises insurance costs, it raises the products costs, it raises what you and I may pay for IKEA or something if we live in Amsterdam or in Rome. So everyone has a vested interest.
By the way, the price of oil is up because of this.
Well, obviously, because of the uncertainty and the unpredictability, because no one knows, and this is where we started, no one knows about the escalation. Now, you asked me an important question. What do I fear most? What do I expect? What I fear most is the miscalculation that is almost inevitably connected to these kind of scenarios when escalation cannot be controlled. That the Iranians retaliated. We don't know, by the way, how far this is going to go, because there is a point to be made that Iran sees Hezbollah now as an increasing burden rather than an asset. But if Israel retaliates against Iran because of this, then Iran will feel that it needs to retaliate, and before you know it, a bunch of guys are in a, excuse the expression, a pissing match.
Iran is in an interesting position right now because they have, technically speaking, new leadership, even though the ultimate leader is the Ayatollah, the supreme leader. But there is a new president. And he signaled when he was here at the UN that he wanted there to be more normalization, maybe a renewed relationship with the West. I heard it spoken about by a senior official within the region, very senior official, that maybe the best way to go forward after all this settles, maybe sooner than that, is to change the posture toward Iran. That what Iran really wants is to be recognized. They just want a little flattery. They want to feel like they're the player. And changing the posture toward Iran might make Iran less likely to, and you can tell me if you totally disagree, might change their desire to fund the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas in the way that it's doing right now.
I don't disagree, Katie. I think the Iranians are going through a process of recalibration now, because they seem to have lost, at least in terms of potency, their prized asset, which is Hezbollah. It's still there, and it has a formidable missile capability, but they lost control over what Hezbollah does. Look, Iran is still a threat. It is still a theocracy with messianic dreams of exporting the revolution and what have you. But Iran is now looking at three things. Sanctions relief. Secondly, a renewed JCPOA, the so-called
They want another Iran deal?
I think so. They were hesitant and they were impeding it at the beginning of the Biden administration when President Biden tried to renew it and then concluded that they're not interested. And the third thing, I think that they're being, and I may be wrong here, I think they're being mitigated and mellowed and restrained by the Chinese, who have a vested interest in the Iranian economy. It's part of the Road and Belt. It's part of the, they have a strategic cooperation agreement. All those combined, Iran is not going to turn into a Sweden, okay? It's not going to turn into a Girl Scouts operation selling cookies around the region. That said, I think that our view of Iran, and this is where I totally agree with your assessment and the way you presented it, perhaps the posture should be at least looked at and re-examined, even not, even before it's changed.
If you could get into Benjamin Netanyahu's ear, what would you tell him?
Oh, we haven't spoken in 15 years.
If you could.
You have a chance here. You have an opportunity here. The combination of Gaza and Lebanon and Iran allows you to be an integral part, maybe a central part in a reconfigurated Middle East. All you need to do is to subscribe to or engage the Biden administration, although it's nearing its end, but who knows? I think that both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump would agree to this, whomever is elected. You can forge a new axis. It need not be defined as an anti-Iranian axis, but a stability axis. Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Emirates, Oman, Bahrain, and the Palestinian Authority. Problem with Mr. Netanyahu is that not him nor his messianic right-wing coalition are willing to entertain any ideas about the Palestinian, about an Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and therein lies the problem.